This is Dead Serious, a show about short horror stories worthy of discussion. I'm Dead Palette, the dangerous VHS tape you picked up on your walk home. Today we're taking a look at Like a Surgeon, presumably by Madonna. Let's get right into it. I read a book as a child. I summed it up and added a few details. So this is a little preamble. Let's get into what was in the book. Mr. Weston, the doctor will see you now. The nurse hung up the intercom. Even though Sam was really nervous, he started to laugh at the fact that the lady called him Mr. This was his dad's name. It was October 31st, 1973, and 9-year-old Sam Weston was in the hospital, about to go into surgery. He had to have his tonsils removed. He followed his parents to the doctor's office in the back of the hospital. "All right, son," said the doctor. "Oops, my mistake. I was told a 9-year-old named Sam was coming here for surgery. You're as big as I am." Sam laughed. "I'm only 9. He thought it was hilarious that the entire hospital thought he was an adult. The doctor checked his clipboard. "Ha, tonsil surgery. Is that what your parents said you were scared of? Let me tell you something, Mr. Weston. Tonsil surgery is not scary at all. It won't hurt you, but just for a second. Have you ever fallen to your knees? Sam nodded. "Well, it's about as painful as that. I had my tonsils removed when I was your age. It's nothing to be scared of." Sam felt a bit better. So thus far, it seems like this entire story is just going to be summarizing this book that our narrator read as a child, which is a little bizarre. So maybe the summation is creepy and interesting in its own way, but that's a really bizarre crux of a story. I don't know that that's a strong enough way to introduce us to this concept, and maybe it's not going to be realistic. Let's see what kind of story this book pans out to be. It's also kind of bizarre that we're having this book filtered through the perspective of someone who read it as long ago as when they were a child. But let's continue on. Uh-oh, looks like we have some news. We don't have the tools for your special case. We traded them in for some new and improved tools, but they've yet to arrive. What we're going to have to do is keep Sam here overnight and get some equipment from the hospital in Memphis. When they arrive, we'll do the surgery. He'll probably be asleep when it happens, so that means no pain. Sam sat down quietly while his parents sorted out the details. They checked Sam into the room and left to the waiting room, where they would stay until Sam's surgery. The nurse helped Sam into the bed and got him a juice. He looked over to the right and saw a little boy. "Hi, I'm Sam, but you can call me Sammy." The boy didn't move an inch. Sam looked at the nurse for some help. She whispered to him, Tommy's very upset. He's got a big surgery tomorrow." She saw Sam's interest and whispered even quieter, "They have to cut off his foot." "My name's not Tommy." The nurse looked sad. A few minutes passed. Sam was drawing in his coloring book. The nurse had left so he could sleep. Tommy looked over at Sam. He pointed to a comic book Sam had on the bed. "Spider-Man is my favorite." "Me too." Sam then tried to shoot a web at Tommy's face. Tommy looked at him. "What are you here for?" "Tonsils." "Lucky." And with that, Tommy turned over. A few minutes passed by in complete silence. Tommy broke it. "Do you like to sleep?" Unlike most kids, Sam loved to sleep. He thought that the quicker he slept, the more he could play the next day. "Yeah, my mom tries to wake me up for school, but I can't ever hear her. She's always says I could sleep through an earthquake." Tommy turns out the light and turns around. Sam takes the hint. So this is a fine little scene in this story. I don't know that we necessarily need to have gotten it from a book. That's a really weird framing device for what the story seems to be trying to accomplish. I don't know that that's the best way to convey the story, because as is, I'm interested, I'm curious. This is a real practical situation where one child has just to get his tonsils out and the other one has a life-altering surgery where they're going to have their foot amputated. That's a lot more traumatic and perspective-giving for Sam in this situation. I don't know. I'm interested. I'm enjoying the story. I think it could be formatted a little better. It's all in short little paragraphs and sentences, and I don't know that that's working for it the best. But I think that the story's working fine. I don't know that we need this weird framing device, but let's continue on. Sammy has a bad dream that night. He dreamt his was falling down a big hole, a little bit of a grammar error there, and then hit the bottom. His leg broke when it hit, and he was suddenly in bed at the hospital. We have to cut it off. Sorry, Sammy. Mr. Weston, the doctor will kill you now. That's bizarre. Oh yeah, it's a dream. What the fuck am I saying? That's perfectly fine. But these are delivered to us as 3 separate quotes. We have to cut it off, and then ellipses with 4 periods, which is improper. Sorry, Sammy, with 3 ellipses, which is proper. And then Mr. Weston, the doctor will kill you now. Continuing. He then sees a small boy with a clipboard in his hand. The boy picks up the clipboard at the end of Sam's bed and places it on his bed. He swaps them. Sam is scared for a moment and screams. He wakes up. Tommy is sound asleep. It was all a dream. Then Sam goes back to sleep. Here we have a little dash to break up the story into another section. Okay. Quick, get this kid on some anesthetic. Sam wakes up. He's being rushed down the hallway in the hospital. The lights flicker above him. Sam looks at the surgeons, plural. He hasn't seen them before. Sam realizes this is it. He's about to get his tonsils out. His parents said he could have ice cream afterwards. Sam thinks about what kind to get when one surgeon pushes him through the door to a room with 1 chair in it. Okay, Tommy, put on this mask. It'll help you fall asleep. Sam is shocked. My name's not Tommy, it's Sam. One surgeon checks the clipboard. It says Tommy right here, son. He was right. Sam looks down and sees the name Tommy Whitten. That's not, my name's not Tommy, it's Sam. Yeah, they said you would say that. The surgeon puts the mask on him. Sam is freaking out. He screams. His screams become silent as the gas mask makes him sleepy. He has one last glance up the hallway. Tommy is standing outside the door, smiling. Sammy cries as he falls to sleep, credited to Strange But Sane. I could swear that something very similar happened in an episode of Malcolm in the Middle, but this is doing something different. The idea that Tommy is trying to play a trick on him or something. It's a cute little story. I wouldn't necessarily say that this is really succeeding as a creepypasta. It's okay as a story. I think it really needs something to put it over the edge. Its structure isn't there for it to be this sort of bland. I do like the mention of like Spider-Man and that kind of stuff, but it doesn't have enough personality to me. And maybe I don't need to know. I think in this situation, I need to know how Tommy could pull off this trick, and you know how he thinks that Sam going into surgery to get his foot amputated is going to prevent, himself, Tommy, from having his foot amputated. It just isn't quite as realistic as it needs to be to succeed as a creepypasta, but it seems that that's what it's going for. I'm not entirely sure, but that seems like where the story's trying to head. And it's also bizarre that it ends without giving us any closure on this idea of it being written by our narrator remembering the story from reading it as a child. That is just weird. If you're going to do that, then you should take advantage of that and actually use that in some fashion. There should be some sort of wrapping up at the end of like, yeah, that was a weird story I read as a child, but there's nothing to that effect, and it just seems thoroughly unnecessary. But let me know what you think of this story in the comments section. We do have a sponsor for today. Today's sponsor was Snow. Snow. Never around when you need it.